Good afternoon to every one of you here and those present here today, especially the media. Today, as we gather here today to mark the occasion of our party manifesto, which is known as the People Alliance Party. And before I go further, I have to introduce my colleagues. Far right is Maimun Ajay. We have Mohammed Siri. My name is Ebrima Sisi. Far left you have Khalifa Sonko, Khalifa Manneh, Ebrima Tabora and Peter Sonko. Today is another day for us today as we are here today. As we all know, People Alliance Party under our humble leader who is known as Ebrima Tabora Manneh. Our party was registered since November 7, 2021. 2022. And it's a registered bona fide political party, a party which is known across the length and the breadth of this country. But today we deem it ourselves to call the media to share our agenda for people to understand the message that we put across. And after all, we will embark on a nationwide tour, but whatever the case may be, we'll let you know as far as the media is concerned. But I don't have much to say as far as my humble leader, who is well known, Ebrima Tabora Manneh. Manneh, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. for that presentation. I'll say good afternoon to all of you, all the media personnel here in present, and also the supporters of PAD who are here as well to attend this occasion. This press basically is among a number of things to discuss about our party, which is a People's Alliance Party, known as PAD, but also to discuss about the current situations in the country, be it economic, social, or what have you. As we are a registered political party, and we are interested in partaking in all political activities in the country, it's incumbent upon us to at least, on occasions, to have discussions with the general public. And the best and most effective way to convey that message to the public is through the media. So that's why we're very grateful to you guys, to come and be in attendance. You have a very vital role to play in national development. The role of the media, is really immense. Because the message that you send out to the public, usually, oftentimes, will determine the direction, the political direction that political parties will take, or even governments will take. So you definitely have a great role to play in influencing the direction of the nation. So we are very grateful to you, we're partners, because we are all together to make sure that at least our country is on the right path, the path of development. We are all stakeholders, we all care for our nation. And we are grateful for your professionalism and for deciding to come here today to discuss with us. But this discussion today, we want to make it in 3 parts. One will be in the official language of the country, which is English. Then we will do some discussions in Mandinka and Wolof as well. Because we want, for the benefit of the entire citizens, we want to make sure that at least the message is understood. Some you will understand are not conversant in English. It's not our native language, but some are not learned in English as well. So it's fair and better to discuss in English as well as the 2 official languages. So we will take all your time. Hopefully an hour will do. So we'll split it into 20 minutes for each language. And then again, if you have any questions to ask, we can do that. And then we can wrap up. But for those who are there, I understand there are some fatigues and seizures amongst you people. So lunch will be available as well. So you can stay and enjoy your lunch. I know today Gabby is not playing, but we want you all to enjoy yourself. And welcome to our bureau. First we'll start with the party, like Lucifer said. This party was registered on the 7th of November 2022. It's been 1 year. We did our 1 year celebration. It was a very simple one, a mild one. We did a recitation of the Quran. We did some prayers. So it was not, a big event per se invite the meeting of a lot of people. After the registration of the party also, we were working on the grassroots, movement for our party. That's why we haven't had a lot, because we were trying to make sure that the party is well established and ready, because we want to make sure that party, as the People's Alliance Party, becomes the most dominant party in this country. And that we are very hopeful that that will happen. And we want to prove ourselves to the Gambians in this year 2024. So we are ready to play our active role in Gambian politics. We'll do everything that it takes, everything that is legal, to ensure that we are recognized. We'll participate in all political activities. We'll do what is needed and what is expected of us as well. But just a small thing about PAP, for you to understand, like every Gambian, there are lots of problems in this country. PAP was born out of, I would say, dissatisfaction. But the current, trajectory that the country is going, we've been very dissatisfied with the situation of the country. And we feel like the Gambians are definitely, the average Gambian is definitely missing out and not being well represented in the governance of the country, in the economic sector of the country. And if I said governance, yes, we will understand that we are in government. Because the people who are in government are mostly all Gambians. But, the decisions that the government is doing is not favorable to the average Gambian. If you look at the economic sector, we know that Gambians are not major players in the economic sector of the country. If you look at agriculture, we'll get to that as well. I'm sure you've all had complaints by Gambian farmers. The majority of people in the rural areas are mostly farmers. And a lot of them are definitely complaining that even their produce is cannot be bought by the government. But even before that, we know that there's high unemployment in this country. And those are reasons why we have people going through bad to travel outside the country, to risk their lives, to travel to Europe or the Americas. We know that crime is becoming a problem in this country. Our security is a very big issue in the country as well. The health sector, nothing is working. We cannot even get a decent medication in the hospital. Oftentimes we have to go to the pharmacies, private pharmacies to get medication. So we said there's hardly hope in this country. There's hopelessness in the country. There's immense poverty in this country. And lately we said there's hunger in this country. We know that is something that is happening in this country. And now there are issues with land prices in the Gambia. And what we've noted, especially in the greater Banjul area, it seems like the average Gambian cannot afford to buy even a plot of land. And renting also has increased. So these are things that we've discussed with people who are like-minded, who have concerns for their country, who are patriotic, and they're sincere and genuine, and mean well for their country. And we want to ensure that at least the Gambia becomes a well-developed country, but also the citizens become respectable people in their own country. And unfortunately, if you don't have any role in the governance of your country, if you don't have any role in the economic sector of your country, if you're not in control of your security, then we said you are just a citizen, just like that, with identifications, let's say passport. You can have your voter's cards, your driver's license, and what have you. But the role of a citizen, the dignity and respect that you deserve as a citizen, you will not have that. So because of so many things like that, we said, okay, what do we do to make those changes? We said, okay, we have to start a political party. Because we know there's a lot of civic, a lot of activists who complain about governance. We hear in the media people say the government is not doing this, they're not doing that. But the complaints, are almost not paid attention to by the government, because they assume that they'll just complain and nothing can happen. So we said, well, what do we do? If we think they're doing the wrong things, then let us come together, form our party, come together with Gambians, and hopefully, when we're given the opportunity, to play a meaningful role or to be in charge, we can do what is right for the country. So because of those reasons, we came, we set up our own political party, we came with our agenda. Those are things that we will discuss with you guys as well. For your information, PAB is PAP, and we want you to know that PAB is here to stay. Our symbol is the broom. The broom, you can see it here. We are here to clean up the country, to clean up the government. We know there's a lot of corruption in government. There's a lot of inefficiency. There's a lot of mismanagement. We wanted to make sure that there's a lot of unity in this country. And that unity, you can also symbolize that in the broom. The broom is used for cleaning. So we're here to clean the nation. But if you look at the stick, the broom is made up of different sticks. So you put the sticks together, and then you tie it up, then it becomes strong. We want our citizens, our tribes, our Gambians, to make sure that we're united as well. This is a very small country. We are talking about 2 million plus, very small. Not even the size of a city in certain countries. Our neighbors here, Senegal, Dakar alone, the greater Dakar area is more populated than the Gambia. If you go to countries like Nigeria, you're talking about 200 million plus people. You go to India, more than 1 billion. China, more than 1 billion. US, more than 300 million. Gambia is 2 million plus. In fact, that should be our biggest advantage because we are small, so it should be easy for us to unite. So we must not allow anyone, any group, whether it's a political party or individuals, to separate us. So when we are setting up our party, we said, okay, the group will symbolize all Gambians. We will come together to unite. And the party comprises of people from different ethnic groups. We said our party, every Gambian, must feel like they are represented in the party. So the party, we have Wolof, we have Mandinka, we have Fula, we have Jola, we have Sarahuli, we have Syrian, all the tribes in Gambia. We make sure that they are all included in the party. Because Gambians, you must see yourself in the governance. You must see yourself in a party. Gambians have responsibility, that they engage. They can earn something to take care of themselves and their families. And the last one, the E, that is empowerment. We said we must protect the Gambia. We must protect our nation. We must empower. The E is empowerment. We must empower Gambians. We must ensure that Gambians are in charge of their country. We must be the ones who are in charge of our economy. We must be in charge of our government. We must be in charge of our security. And we must be the ones who are in charge of our destiny. Unfortunately, we are not. We are hardly in charge of our government because they don't listen to us. Unfortunately, we are not in charge of our economic sector because our economic sector is being controlled. Majority of the people who are non-Gambians. And unfortunately, our security sector, I understand our big house, the White House, our neighbors here, most of the security people there are not even Gambians. It's unfortunate. It's very sad. So that is what the PO is for. And the Gambia, we don't come to complain like just politics serves to make noise and say the government is not doing the right thing. We said there are solutions, there are answers. We must profile solutions for the problems that we are complaining about. This country is a very blessed country. We have about 2.7 million, 2.5 million, less than 3 million. It should be the easiest country to develop. This country should have been the most developed country in West Africa. One, our size is small. That it has some disadvantages, but in our case, it's a very good advantage. Secondly, also the Gambia's location. It has it's among the best located countries in the world. It's like Singapore. It's an entry port. If very well utilized, this country should have benefited immensely from its location. It's very close to Europe. You can easily get even flights trying to go to South America, come and use this as a transit hub. It's not been utilized. Just like Dubai. What they did in Dubai is they made Dubai like a gateway from merchandise goods to people transiting to other countries. Gambia could have done the same thing. Our third advantage is we have English as our official language. English is a dominant language. It's the language of business in the world. I mean, if you know about India, you know they have one benefit from the language that they use English. I mean, currently we know that English-speaking countries are the most dominant countries in the world in terms of development, technology, science, and what have you. Now we have English. You know, Gambians, their English is among the best in the world. Unfortunately, our education system needs a lot of adjustment. So we'll discuss that after. But we can use that to our advantage. You know, the number of people who are resident in India and employed by the British or the Americans is perhaps more than 100,000. If you can get like 5,000 Gambians who can be in the Gambia, I mean, whereby companies in America or Europe or Britain can outsource some of their work to Gambians here. Nowadays, it's very easily possible. So those are areas that we have to look at. So that's a big advantage for us at the moment. I mean, any type of knowledge that we think of, we can get it easily in this country because we have that English as an advantage. Besides that also, we have our land. It's very small. We have our sea. Those are blessings that God has endowed us with. And I'm telling you, what we need for development, we have the diaspora Gambians. The number of Gambians who are outside and sending remittances to the Gambia. At the moment, they say there's about more than $700 million that was sent to the Gambia in 2023. More than $700 million. But I believe it's more than $1 billion. I mean, that is even enough if well utilized, if well managed, if well planned. That is enough to support the Gambia to make sure that we are on the right path for development. So we have everything that it takes. And by nature, Gambians are among the most hospitable people in the world. I mean, I've managed to travel a little bit across the world, and I've met a lot of people in Europe, in America, and in Africa here. But I can tell you, Gambians are among the best people in the world. Very decent, very down to earth, very friendly, very hospitable. So it takes a little bit of support and being in the right direction for us to achieve what we want as a nation. For the Gambia to be the best country, in Africa. And it's even possible to make Gambia the best country in the world. You heard about Singapore. Singaporeans, they are mostly Chinese and Malay people. They had their independence almost the same time as the Gambia. And now Singapore was colonized by the British, just like the Gambia. But now people from England move to Singapore for employment, to seek employment, to be employed by Singaporeans, to be employed in companies that are owned by Singaporeans. We have people in Singapore who are worth millions of dollars. In fact, more than millions of dollars, but billions of dollars. Singaporeans, slightly more populated than the Gambia, almost twice the population of the Gambia. So if we have independence the same time with Singapore, and Singapore at the moment is able to have people who are multi-millionaires. It's one of the most developed countries in the world. In fact, I would say that their standard of living is above that of Britain. Britain colonized them before. Now, why can't we do the same thing? Are we not as human as they are? Are we not as intelligent as they are? And I believe that the government believes that. The people in Europe, the people in America, the white people, the Chinese, the Arabs, the Indians, they are not more intelligent than we are. But unfortunately, we've always been misled. Our development priorities have never been good for the country. Unfortunately, we've had bad leadership who were mostly interested in enriching themselves and their families and their friends. Every government you hear about nepotism is about you and your family and your friends and your tribes. Unfortunately, those are things that must stop. But we must have the confidence, we must have the courage, to face the system, to face the people, and tell them that we as Gambians, we are not satisfied with the current direction of this country. And the problems that are affecting this country is too much. There is too much poverty. Just lately, me from the North Bank area, I cross very often from Bara to Banjul. Banjul, resident in Banjul, I cross all the time. But if you know about the ferry I mean, if you know about the ferry crossing, it's a nightmare. I mean, between Bara and Banjul is less than 6 kilometers, less than 4 miles. I mean, if there was a bridge and you have to drive across from Banjul to Bara, it will take you no more than 10 minutes to drive. Now, with an effective and a good ferry service, you should be able to fly between these two places no more than 30 minutes. But sometimes you stay outside waiting for the ferry to be ready for like 2 hours. And now I've heard people say, and I've witnessed it, that we must tell the powers that be, we must tell the authorities that we don't want to say this, but unless they take drastic action, immediate measures to address the problem at the ferry service, it can be a calamity in waiting. I mean, because the ferries are in very bad shape. I mean, even an average layman who is not an engineer, I mean, if you take the ferry, usually there is a lot of congestion. People will stay outside waiting for 2 hours, for several hours, just to cross. I mean, there will be people who are patients, they have serious illnesses that need urgent attention, and they have to cross from the other end to come to the hospital. And I understand there's been a few times that some people even lost their lives. I mean, we can partly blame the poor ferry service for that, because you cannot be somebody who needs immediate medical attention and you are kept outside in an area that is not convenient and not comfortable for 2-3 hours without being attended. So the ferry service is of concern to all Gambians, especially those who fly between the north and the south bank using the Banjul area. So I think we'll appeal to the authorities to definitely pay attention to it. I mean, the other thing, if you look at it, if you know about the rural areas, mostly they are engaged in farming. These are very poor farmers. I mean, for a whole year, they do their farming and they make one salary a year. Their earnings is only earned once a year. You work for almost 6 months. When you sell your produce, I mean, you get paid once. Now imagine if you work and expect to be paid after working for 6 months, you take your produce to be sold, and the money is not available, and you have to survive. You have kids who must go to school. You have people who might be sick and they need attention. And you have your other needs, like food and electricity. So what do? Usually, if government doesn't buy, what they will do is they will sell it to what they call the joggers or the bananas. These are, I mean, your average business person who will come and buy it at a price that will be usually below the farm gate price. Currently, they said the kilo is at 38, the ton is 38,000, but you will sell it for maybe 30,000 a ton. And so you give up the 8,000 because you need the money when it's not available from the government. And unfortunately, we've had that the government has been doing credit buying, what they call not of late. Some they can pay, some they couldn't pay. Last time I had, there's a sector that they were supposed to buy $8 million of groundnut. I think they provided them with about $1.5 million. $8 million for a government. That is absolutely nothing. Now, for a poor farmer who worked for almost 6 months, I mean, and expected to be paid, I mean, at 8 million, this is not one or two people. You're talking about maybe 100 people. You're supposed to pay them $8 million. You cannot afford to do that. But from last I heard, the provision, daily provision of our state house is $150,000 a day. And I like to believe it because it has never been refuted. I mean, $150,000 a day. They were able to buy, vehicles for the member of parliament for about $2.5 million. But 100 people, you cannot pay them. More than 100 people maybe, you cannot pay them $8 million. It's a joke. Our people are seriously joking with us. They're taking us for a ride, and they are taking us as fools. I mean, this is not about politics. We are not talking about, just ordinary politics. We are talking about people, human beings, who've worked all their lives, in poverty. And the little that they expect to get, you're not giving them any assistance, you're not giving them any favor. In fact, this is a business from the government. You buy the ground from them, and you sell it and you make a profit. I mean, you cannot allocate 100, 200 million before the farming season starts to ensure that we buy everybody's produce on time. I mean, it's a total failure that we appeal to the government to revisit. With all sincerity and respect, we've said our government has definitely failed us, and they've failed the farmers. And that has really contributed to the poverty in this country. It has also contributed to the people going the back way. Because if you are a farmer, you know the ordinary farmer, you know how much they earn. Hardly do they earn 30, 40,000, 50,000. Those who earn $100,000 are very few. Those are the big farmers. 100,000 the whole year, or 200,000. But you know what is strange? A farmer who earns 100,000 for the whole year, less than $10,000 a month. I mean, they live in poverty all their lives. You look at their structures, their residence is not a very comfortable one. I mean, usually they don't have enough money for their provisions, for their feast money. When the children get sick, I mean, they cannot afford to take care of them. You go and visit them, look at their conditions. That is, they're earning less than $10,000 a month. But you see people in government earning less than $10,000 a month, and they have houses that are worth more than $5 million, $3 million. We must be realistic to each other. You all know in this country, if you earn less than $10,000, it's money. It cannot serve you. But we know there are people who are, I mean, in maybe closer to the government. You earn less than 10,000, they can afford to get a car, they can fuel the car, they can maintenance the car, they can pay their rents, and they can even build a house. It's strange. I cannot understand. But you know as much as I do that it's nothing but a simple corruption. When people in government are the richest in the country, then you know that there's a problem. Because I can tell you, those in government, those who work for a salary, basically what they earn is only for a living in this Gambia. If you look at our pay scale, our salary scale, it's very poor. In fact, what we've said is that government must pay, they must pay not even less than $10,000 in this country. It's doable, it's possible. Nobody should be paying less than $10,000 in this country. If you pay somebody $5,000, rent in the Gambia now, in the greater Banjul area, $5,000 cannot afford you a decent rented place, a decent two-bedroom. So would your salary go on for just rent? When you need a family to feed, you need to pay electricity and water. And don't tell me it cannot be done. It can be done. I mean, we'll get to that as well. So definitely the decisions of the government has really contributed to the poverty in this country. Poverty in this country is not natural. I'll tell you, it's man-made. And we must assign where most of the blame is our authorities, those on top. They care just for themselves. I've had, and we'll get to discuss this as well, I've had this discussion several times. Those are things that we must face. They said, yes, Gambians are lazy. We've had that. Everybody had that. Gambians are lazy, they don't want to go. And the people will come from foreign countries. They will do this, they will do that. They will do masonry, they will do carpentry, they will do electricity work. Gambians don't want to do this. And if you look at most people who complain about that, their kids, they will do the same thing. There's not a minister who would want his son to be a mason or a carpenter. They want to educate their kids and send them. They won't do it the bad way. They will send them to Europe. I mean, and even our government, they allocated money for themselves so that when they are sick, at least they can cure themselves either in the Gambia or outside the Gambia. So what is there for the Gambia? You go to a hospital, there's no medication. Even paracetamol, you cannot have it. Even if you need drips, it's not available at the hospital. You have to go to a pharmacy. So there's a lot of mismanagement in this country. Unfortunately, I mean, the government doesn't know its priorities. There's a lot of misplaced priorities. I mean, we are doing things that don't need to be done. So that's why we have to, I said that loans that we're taking, we're compromising our dignity as collateral. Because we go and take loans that you cannot afford to pay, and you bring in those loans and then you mismanage them just to enrich yourself, when the average Gambian is living in abject poverty. Those are things that must stop. So we said as a party, what must we do? We said first we must empower Gambians. We must decentralize development. We must ensure that Gambians are engaged. First we'll take care of the economic sector. First we must make sure that the Gambia, the government, is representing Gambians. Every decision that the government will do must be for the interest of solely for the Gambians. We must make sure that Gambians are in charge of the economic sector. You tell me, how many Gambians do you know in this country who are multimillionaires, who employ more than 100 people? Very, very, very few. Yet we have Gambians sending in this country more than $700 million a year. And it seems like they have very little stake in this country. You look at the number of banks in this country, more than 10. How many Gambians own banks? Or how many Gambians have stakes in banks? We look at those people who are importing goods in this country. And you tell me how many of them are Gambians? And we want employment to be addressed. You look at people who are the richest in this country. Or even you start on the streets, or you go to the greater Banjul area, you go to certain areas, you go to the Senegambia Banjul Highway, you look at the beautiful buildings, you look at the big structures, and you tell me how many Gambians own those places. For you, the young people, I really feel very, very sorry for the generation that is coming up, because we have government can mismanage our funds. We can, when you come to power, you can address those issues. You can develop the economy. You can create employment. But the biggest problem that I'm very fearful of has to do with land. The price of land in this country is so exorbitant. The young people, unfortunately, I'm afraid, if we are not mindful, we will be renting in this country. We won't be able to have our own land. Much more to develop a house in it and live with your family, live the same. Because all lands are being sold to mostly outsiders. Prime land in this country is being sold to outsiders. So what they do is they'll build houses in those lands, and those houses will be rented to the rest of us and our children. Then our children, because the Gambia is very small, we don't have enough land. Eventually, we won't be landowners in this country. So we'll all be renters in this country. And if you know what it means to be a renter, before the end of the month, usually you get sick. And now the price of rent is skyrocketing. It's going up constantly. Then you have no stake in your country. If you don't have ownership of land in your country, most of your stake is going in that country. Because if you are a Gambian, you have your driver's license, you have your voter's card, you have your passport, you have your ID card. Yes, you can be proud and say, yes, I'm a Gambian. But now, come on, you don't have a house, you don't have a car, you don't have a good job, you don't have you cannot take care of your children, and you said, I'm a proud Gambian. Now, somebody who is not a Gambian has a house, has a car, has good employment. In fact, that person employs you. And you said you're a Gambian, you're proud of being a Gambian. If you have issues with that person, you go to the authorities, they don't even care about you. Because government pays attention to those who feed them, those are those who sponsor them, those who support them, those who finance them. You have no finances. That's why in the Gambia you'll be employed by a non-Gambian, you will have an issue. They don't really care. Because they're talking those on top, those are the people that they deal with. They look at you with your Gambian, you can call yourself a Gambian, maybe with your passport and your ID and everything, but you're nothing. You go to our prisons and see those who are at the prisons. They're majority non-Gambians. Hardly you see, majority Gambians, hardly you see any non-Gambian. So what is wrong with us? This happens only in countries like this. You go to Europe, it doesn't happen there. You go to America, it doesn't happen there. You go to the Arab countries where Muslims like them, you go to Dubai, you go to Saudi Arabia, it doesn't happen there. Citizens own their country. You own your country, you own your economy, you manage your economy, you manage your security, then you become a proud people. then you become a rich people. But as long as you are not in control of your government, you are not in control of your economy, you are not in control of your security, my friend, you are almost insignificant in that country. So we must make sure that we are represented in this country. We must take ownership of our country. And that ownership, we cannot discriminate. We cannot discriminate amongst us. That is why I said unity is very vital. This country is not going to be a Mandinka country. It's not going to be a Fula country. It's not going to be a Jola country. It's not going to be a Wolof country or a Syrian country. Now, our Almighty Allah has decided that in this country that we call the Gambia, must have Mandinkas and Fulas and Jolas and Sarakules living together as one. Let's unite as one. Let's put our interests together. Let us work together. If we do so with sincerity and honesty and love of country, this country can be the best country in Africa. This country can be the best country in the world. It is possible. We have the potential. We have the ability. We have the resources. We have everything that it takes. Unfortunately, we are being misled. We are led in the wrong direction. And you know as much as I know. I mean, I tell politicians all the time, everything that we say, I mean, the people who are listening know it more than we do. But we must now have the courage and take charge. The changes that this country needs, we must be the ones to make these changes. But I think I'll have to stop in English and go to the local languages, because otherwise we'll stay here longer than we anticipated or longer than we wanted. If anybody must see yourself in the country, you must feel like you are being represented. You must feel like your interest is being protected. If you don't have a role in any activity, then usually you feel disinterested in that activity. And if you're not interested in an activity, usually you will not be represented, and you cannot enjoy the benefits that you deserve. And unfortunately, Gambians, for far too long, we've had our independence for 50 plus years. I think it's about 58 years now. We're getting close to 60 years. Up to now, nothing meaningful has happened in this country or is happening in the country. There is not a single sector that we can identify and say it's a success area. I mean, you look at all the government departments, they've all failed. The health sector is a total fail. Our education system is broken down. I mean, we'll get into that. Our security, I don't know whether we're still in charge of our security, because we've almost given our security to people. Our economy is controlled by others. And we are now indebted to outside countries, the Gambia and outside the Gambia. The government has loans that we can hardly afford to settle. And you know, when you take a loan, what you do is, it's like you give a mortgage. Anyone who ever took a loan, you know what you do, you give a mortgage. What we've done, what we've given as collateral is our country and our future and our dignity. Those are the things that we place as collateral for us to be able to be indebted. But unfortunately, what happened is when we took loans, those loans are usually mismanaged by government. I mean, so definitely we cannot sit and expect that things will change when the government is repeating the same mistakes that they've been doing for over the past, I can say, several years. So change has to come, and no one can make those changes but you people here. It's only us. No jinn will come to help us make the changes. No angel will come. Only Gambians can make changes that we desire. So that's why we set up the party. We are ready to start our work. After this press conference, we'll make arrangements to make a tour of the country. We'll start from the North Bank area. You will be informed of any development. And if anybody is interested to join the tour, we'll definitely welcome you. But we can assure you, it will be very interesting. And the Gambia is going to change. There is a wind of change blowing in this country. I mean, if you are aware of geopolitics, you will know that there are lots of things happening in the world that will have major impact in the way the world is set up. And big countries, developed countries, are aware of what is happening in the world now. And they want to make sure that they are very well positioned for any eventuality, any changes in the world. Now, Gambia, as a very small country, almost inside Senegal, we are very vulnerable, but we have lots of opportunities also. So we must position ourselves very well so that the changes that are happening in the world, we can be on the right side. We can benefit from the changes. Because if we don't, Gambians in this country, we will fail immensely. So it's incumbent upon all Gambians to ensure that we come together to make sure that the changes that we deserve as a nation, that our people deserve, happens. That's basically, those are one of the issues that we'll discuss. But I'll go in English. And the issues that we want to talk about today, generally I've made a summary of what we want to say, but we'll go not too much in detail, because that will take a lot of time. Perhaps one-on-one we can do some of those things. But we'll discuss in English, what we want to say, maybe 5-10 minutes. Then we'll go to the local languages in Mandinka and Wolof as well, so that we can have time for you to do other activities. Okay? Now, if you look at perhaps manifesto here, there is a manifesto, but you look at this where it says peer. We said that is something that we need in this country. And for peer, the P is for progress. We have to develop. In this country, progress has been stagnant for far too long. There's no development in this country. There's no progress in this country. There's nothing that we can be proud of. I'll challenge anyone. You compare Gambia to any country that is developing, and you tell me if Gambia is definitely developing. If we want to compare ourselves to countries like Guinea-Bissau or our neighbors here, then our bar is too low. We'll go nowhere. Or even if you compare us to Senegal, you go to Dakar and see what is happening in Dakar. Or you go to even Bour, then you come to the Gambia, you look at Banjul, you look at the greater Banjul areas, and you see where the Gambia is definitely developing. So P is progress. We must develop. We have to grow. There has to be hope in this country that the youth will believe that they can stay in this country and make it in this country and be able to set up a family, have meaningful employment, have a residence that they can stay in, be able to afford their provisions, for food, live a dignified life. That is not happening. So no progress is happening. You just gauge yourself. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where were you? And where are you now? Where do you anticipate yourself to be in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself by the end of 2024? The average Gambian, I can tell you, is not expecting much. So we need that progress. Then unity, I've discussed that about the room. We need unity. We must not allow anyone, we must not allow tribal divisions in this country. That is the worst thing that can happen to a nation. This is a very small country. We are one family. We are one people. In fact, that is one of the catalysts why we join politics. Because we don't want this unity in this country. All tribes must feel like they own this country. We must feel like this country is for all Gambians, irrespective of what tribe you belong to, what religion you practice, which political affiliation, which political party you are affiliated with, which region you reside in. The Gambia is our Gambia. Let's come together and see this country as our country, as one people, then we'll have chance to grow. Then R is responsibility. Now, responsibility is related to progress. People to be responsible, they must have employment. They must have engagement. The number of Gambians, I'll tell you, who are graduating from school in this country every year, from the tertiary education, from the tertiary institutions, coming down to the primaries, the grade 10s and 12s, and in betweens, the MDIs and other institutions. It's more than 20,000 with the Arabic sector. More than 20,000 Gambians are graduating or will finish school. Now, do we have employment for those people? Why can't we have employment for them? What is the government doing to ensure that those people, when they graduate from school, they'll be able to have employment? So those are things that are factored in the economic plans of the government. decide that the Arabic sector is a problem. I mean, there's nothing, absolutely nothing for them. You go to Arabic school, when you finish, mostly what you do is you become, if you're lucky, you become an Arabic teacher. I mean, and unfortunately, I mean, our education system must be revisited to make sure that at least, I mean, we make decent plans, plans that are development oriented, so that those who will finish school will be responsible citizens. They can have meaningful employment. The average Gambian who is employed, I mean, I'm sure you know as much as I do, that we go to work, we get paid, whether it's salaries or commissions, it's just salary by day. It's not enough to last you even a week or two. You know that as much as I do. I was an auditor, I audited government departments, I mean institutions, I mean NGOs, I mean parastatals, other organizations for more than 7 years. And the first thing you look at is, mostly when you go to audit a place, you're always curious, you look at their salary. If you look at the pay scale in the Gambia, it's definitely a joke. I mean, you even go to Senegal, you compare it with Senegal. I mean, the ones listening, even the media houses, you know, you compare yourself to the Senegalese. You know that what you're getting is a pittance. It's nothing. It cannot last you a week or two. I mean, we have to face reality. We have to talk to each other and tell each other what is happening in this country. So people, unfortunately, there's hardly any employment. And because Gambians are not in charge of the economic sector, they cannot create meaningful employment. Those who are the employers, most of them, majority of them are non-Gambians. And because of that, I mean, hardly do they pay us, I mean, remittance, remunerations that we deserve. Usually what they pay us is just, you know, to keep you employed. And even when you are employed, usually you don't have the dignity that you deserve. You are treated like a nobody. So what you are earning cannot serve you a week or two, and you cannot afford to, I mean, employment. Because if you're not employed, I mean, society will definitely look down upon you. So what do? Eventually you decide to go the bathroom because there are no job opportunities. I mean, there's hardly any businesses that we can do in this country. So we are all stuck together in this small Gambia with very little opportunities, with a government that has lost track, unfortunately. So between ourselves, they just kind of pitch us against each other, and that's why it's easy to have these political differences and tribal differences. You know, all those noises about tribal differences and political differences is because we have not much to do. I mean, if you go to the Western world, people are so busy working. So they don't have time, a lot of time for politics. They don't have time to argue about political or tribal or religious issues. But if people are not employed, they're not engaged, usually what they say about an idle mind, you know, you can easily be carried away by the devil. So there's a lot of unemployment. So we have to make sure that at least Thank you.